Good morning. It's a really honor for us to have such a great occasion, chance to having with you. And you are one of the most famous person in the world. So especially after COVID-19 crisis. So we really appreciate you sharing the time for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I really look forward to visit Japan in person. So I cherish every time before actually visiting post-pandemic these dialogues so we can have more common topics to talk once I do visit.
Yeah, that's right. It's really surprising for me that you haven't come to Japan after COVID-19.
That's correct. Before COVID-19, I've frequently visited, but not after COVID-19.
I see. How do you see the Tokyo Olympics games from your country? And how do you evaluate?
Wildly popular, right? People are wearing those Olympic masks. There's cars with badminton field designs and all the televised shows and competitions. They are very, very warmly received. So I would say it's extremely fortunate that we get to have Tokyo Olympic during the time when Taiwan was just recovering from the pandemic. It marks a transition from the worst of the wave in May to now zero COVID in September. And it's like a catalyst in how people perceived ourselves. It's a declaration that together, right, we're stronger and faster, and which is, of course, the motto of this year's Olympic. It's about together. And I think it would not be possible, even for the team in Taiwan or for myself, to get vaccinated for the Olympic, if not for the generous donation from Japan, the AstraZeneca vaccines, which are actually Japan keeps the gifts coming, right? We just received another 500,000, I really must sincerely, really express my gratitude, because without this, none of this transition into postponed pandemic would happen without Japan's generous contribution.
From my side, I really say thank you. Need to say thank you. It was a very tough time, so I really appreciate you countries that gave us the medical masks. Have you already vaccination all the people in Taiwan? Not yet, right?
Because we have rolled out our own vaccine, the Medigen vaccine.
I see.
The Medigen vaccine is available to pretty much anyone who wants to get vaccinated. But the truth is that many people prefer AstraZeneca or BNT or Moderna and so on. And these are still in more limited supply. So at this moment, we have sufficient vaccine to vaccinate on the first dose of pretty much everybody, including people younger than 18, people as young as 12, I believe, are eligible for the BNT vaccine. But we have only the dose for the second dose for the medical workers, the frontline staff, and the elderly and senior people. So the second dose for the younger population, that probably will have to wait until November and so on before the second dose catches up for the full vaccination of all people. Yeah, we had a level 3 national-wide pandemic alert for a while, for around 3 months or so. And that was because masks alone, even medical grade mask alone, if it's worn very properly, it's not very effective against the variants, the alpha and delta variants. That's the main difference against the previous version, right? SARS 2.0. We're now 2.0 Delta. There's a different version of the virus. And the main difference is the airborne transmission. So we did not have adequate preparation for the airborne transmission. And that's Taiwan's real first wave in May. But after we changed the use of masks, after we changed the way to run our schools and so on, even with no lockdown, we've never restricted intercity movement or imposed curfew or anything like that. But we did successfully went back to zero COVID around August, September. So I would say one of the main lessons learned in this real first wave, indeed, as you said, is that vaccination at the end of the day is the only way forward. So I look forward in November, maybe, when both of us are looking at the society fully vaccinated, we can resume some travel.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh, you expecting the full vaccination in your country around October or November?
November is likely that people who are at risk of a severe case of COVID will get the full doses required. For younger people or very young people, like people before the age of 11, that still needs some experiments to make sure that they are safe for very young people. So it's not full vaccination, but it would protect everyone who are vulnerable from the COVID.
So I started the partnership declaration certification from the local government, other Ibaraki prefecture for the LGBT peoples. So
you're handing out certificates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's just there's no legal,
Sure. It's a recommendation.
Yeah, that recommendation or just a certification. You're the partners, but that helps to accommodate the living in Ibaraki, like in the hospital or in the finding the houses or getting the services or finance services or insurance services, something like so on and so on. Maybe Taiwan as a country, they legalize the marriage of the LGBT people,
marriage equality.
Yes, equality, right? So how the Taiwan, maybe I believe that it was the same situation, overcome such a traditional old notion or way of thinking to the diversity or inclusion or discrimination type of mindset. So can you suggest?
Yes, definitely. I think participation is really the key. If people do not feel that they are included in decision making, then they don't feel anything when a new policy rolls out, right? Because when it's about marriage equality, really it's not taking anyone's rights away. It's just adding some rights to some people. So theoretically, it should be a net plus. But if people do not consult the people who are more senior or care more about traditions and so on, then they feel that they are being taken away the right to decide what marriage means. And that is very detrimental to these cultures. So in Taiwan, we use digital democracy like electronic petition. We use direct democracy like referendums. We use many ways to increase the bit rate of democracy. Previously, it was every person voting for the parliamentarians every time, like every vote is 4 years. So like 3 bits every 4 years. But it's a very small bandwidth when it comes to expression of their preferences. But in Taiwan, when we institutionalized this direct democracy, we get a much wider range of opinions. So on marriage equality, for example, we have a referendum passed that says people think of marriage as marriage between two families, but they don't want same-sex people's families to be wed together. But we have another referendum that says people are happy if they are given a special act that hyperlinks, that links back to the civil code, but only on the individual to individual basis. So see, if we put this debate on the parliament, usually it will be the two dimensions of family and individual will be conflated into a zero-sum game. But through direct democracy, we were able to carve out what I call marrying the bylaw, like all the rights and duties, but not the in-law, not the father-in-law, mother-in-law. So when two individuals of the same sex did their wedding, their family relationship do not change, but they enjoy the same rights and duties as individuals who are heterosexually wed. So this is an innovation that is only possible when we include the voice and innovations of all the different sides of this issue and essentially take all the sides. So there is no innovation without inclusion, and inclusion is seen as participation from people. Otherwise, the diversity is just about getting people on the stage, but inclusion means they get to participate in the stage agenda setting.
Oh, I see. That really helping us to think forward. Still, I have a question. So, how do you suggest us to overcome those kind of the opinions which tried to try to register broaden the how to say basis of the democracy especially in the area of the sensitive issues for them.
Yeah, I think we need to make it continuous. That is to say, not a winner-take-all situation, but a situation where things can be incrementally experimented. Our national referenda, although they are binding only for 2 years. So every time a referendum passes, the opposing side need to think of better arguments, and they know in just 2 years' time, they will have a chance to go back and then innovate again to discover a new solution to the issue with our common value in hand. And so people do not feel they have utterly lost when they lose a referendum. They do not feel they have utterly lost when their petition get rejected, but they know they can try again 60 days, 90 days, or 2 years after the fact.
Oh, I see. That's a great idea. Just only effective the 2 years, the result of the reference. Oh, that's a great idea. How we can, how to say, influence or how do you move forward, especially still in the national level, there's several the different opinion, especially about diversity inclusion. How we should do from your perspective?
Yeah, in Taiwan, of course, everyone knows that President Dr. Tsai Ing-wen is pro-marriage equality, pro-LGBTQ issue. But I think that was because she built upon previous contributors of women's empowerment and equality in Taiwan, like one of our past Vice President, Annette Lu, who herself contributed a lot to the early movements to equalize the pay, equalize the social recognition of women, especially in political areas. So we have a parliament where we have more than 40% of MPs are women. And in the public sector, we have the public service filing gender impact assessments to make sure that they do not confuse biology with destiny for the past, I think, 15, 16 years now. So the point I'm making is that it requires support from the existing movements on the equality between women and men. And then we can reuse the same structure of the Gender Equality Committee, gender mainstreaming, and so on, because we have already successfully decoupled the stereotypes of one's biology and one's social role. We can then move forward to say, hey, then what's about marriage? What about civil union? And so on. But without this equal participation, without a high number of women in parliament, without a president who is 100% women, we cannot even begin to have a societal conversation about LGBTQ issues. So the feminist movement, I believe, is our natural and strongest ally, and we really need to work on gender mainstreaming, especially in the public service. So having a dedicated diversity and inclusion unit in your government, I believe, is a really good first step.
Yeah, I see. What's your suggestion from your the experience in Taiwan? What your suggestion to the local government in Japan to promote moving forward regarding this diversity and the inclusion?
I believe making sure there are plenty of safe spaces is the most important thing. For a long time, the Pride Parade in Taipei and then later on in Kaohsiung and so on in Taiwan was considered the safe space for the LGBTQ community in the whole Asia, right? People specifically flew to Taiwan to participate in the Pride Parade. Last year, I believe we're the only country that has Pride Parade physically during that time of COVID. So it became a place where the international support can bring a lot of spotlight to the mayor and to the city public servants so that they feel that this is an important cultural contribution and it has like real benefit to the local economy as well. And before long, you will find that this develops into something that includes the society, even people who are unaware of LGBTQ issues, they will see that, hey, this is a good culture to promote because it means more innovations, more visitors, more people who participate in our local economy. The same goes for like e-sport, right? Many local government in Taiwan promoted e-sport, set up their own competitions, sponsor the teams, build stadiums of e-sport and so on. Even before we, in the national level, consider e-sport a sport in 2016. Again, they gained a lot of economic benefits and cultural ones as well.
I see. By the way, I also promoting the esports too.
That's great.
Oh, I see. How do you think the coming DX society will help us to strengthen the diversity or inclusion the society? How do you see there any connection between the DX and the diversity and inclusion?
Yes, definitely. I think inclusion depends on people who feel they are safe in a space to contribute. Otherwise, they will not contribute if they feel excluded.
Yes.
And it's much easier online than offline to build a safe space because across the monitor, there's only so much one can do, right, to make sure that the people who care about these things identify themselves as a hashtag or things like that. Even in jurisdictions that are not democratic, they cannot completely shut off access to the internet. There's only so much a repressive regime can do to prevent their people to discover the people with similar interests or similar identities online. So this is a natural haven for people who are diverse in a more repressive society. Now, in democracies like Japan and Taiwan, of course, we can build digital public infrastructure that goes a step beyond. It's not just about not censoring this speech. It's about encouraging this speech. And because you have run the business of Nico Nico, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On Nico Nico, there's no subculture, right? It's just this culture and that culture because it is a safe space. People will not discriminate against the less popular subcultures. Within their circle, they're all cultural participants, and that fosters a creative expression that prepares them for conversation and dialogue with the mainstream. So having public infrastructures such as Nico Nico or the Taiwan's PTT and so on, these are very important.
I see. By the way, you are familiar with Nico Nico TV in Japan?
I have participated a few times that I'm not intimately familiar because I don't speak Japanese.
I see.
I have watched the virtual spokesperson of your prefecture that introduced first in English, and then the virtual anchor says, I'll just put on some English subtitles. I'm going to speak in Japanese. I think that is very creative and definitely carries the style of Nico Nico and virtual YouTubers.
Yes, thank you very much. Sometimes how to say, the confuse when we people discuss about the DX, because I used to be the IT industry as a, but I do just sales, but not the developer. So my knowledge about the technology itself is not very limited. But still, I feel that especially in Japan, a long time we are talking about the IT. Sometimes Web 2.0, 2.0, or sometimes DX, sometimes blah blah blah. Every time the industry creating a new words and to sell more IT technology.
Yes, I remember when I was a child, the buzzword from Japan was neuro fuzzy something.
Yes. Yeah, that's. So, and I'm from my experience, I really am afraid that people just saying the DX without pointing out the specific points.
In Taiwan, we had a similar buzzword with AI. AI is a very popular buzzword, but we do not have a similar one with DX. And I believe the reason is that we've not had this IT buzzword before. In Taiwan, the digital transformation is seen as part of a transformation that still connects people to people. But in Japan, many times when we hear IT, it's about connecting machine to machine. Or connecting people to machine, like replacing people who answer calls with automated machines, replacing people who are doing ticketing with ticketing machines, and so on. So in Japan, the term IT has a very strong machine-to-machine flavor to it. But in Taiwan, we've always talked about connecting people to people in digital.
I see.
And which is why it's not a it's not a passcode toward more robots, right? Digital transformation in Taiwan is always to make people feel happier, to connect the senior people to their children and grandchildren in cities, to connect them to their medical and educational services and things like that. It's always connecting people to people. So it has no potential to become a automation buzzword because it's always assistive, always helping people.
I see. How do you see the exact the real change of the life through the AI or DX whatever in Taiwan? You have a drastic change in life.
Definitely.
And I think we all know digital can save time and make people feel safer. But I think the ultimate value is building mutual trustworthiness, so that people can trust each other more. And for example, during the pandemic, everyone needs to do contact tracing. But because of the Alpha and Delta variant, it's no longer sufficient that we complete the contact tracing interview and so on in 24 hours. Because during those 24 hours, it's already a danger of spreading to the next circle, So using a new way of checking in to venues, we ask all the venue owners completely voluntarily, at no cost whatsoever, to use their phone to put a QR code on a website, which they can get to their nearby 7-Eleven or Family Mart and get that QR code printed out. So no printer required. But they just put a QR code in their front door, and anyone with no app required just scan with their camera and send an SMS to 1922, a toll-free number. So again, no cost required for the consumer as well. So at no cost of either side. Now, we, since May, after introducing the 1922 SMS check-in system, we've sent around 250 million SMS messages to check in. And there is no worry about the cybersecurity because it's not sent to any other company. It's stored directly in the telecom. And only when the contact tracer need the information do they call the telecom. And then when they get the information, the person whose record gets viewed, they can surveillance the system and get a full audit trail of who checked their system, and only contact tracer can do that. And because it's very transparent, people had a lot of trust in checking in. And because of that, we shortened the contact tracing from 24 hours to less than 24 minutes. And that's what enabled our zero COVID strategy to work really well, because we very reliably find the contacts and notify the contacts and quarantine them.
Oh, that's amazing. 24 hours to 24 minutes.
24 minutes. It's almost entirely automated now.
I see. Oh, I can't imagine why we don't import that system to Japan.
I'm very happy to help implement that system in Japan if you're interested.
Yeah, that's great. Very impressive. So I tried to introduce the checking system, checking application. It's for free for the people in Ibaraki Prefecture to sign up to using the QR code when they go into the restaurant, and then if they or any shops or whatever, and then in the case that we found some patient of COVID-19, that we send out the notification to the people who checking in the same places, same day, same time. So the noticing them that you can be the potential of the getting the COVID-19. So please check out your situation. So that system we launched almost one year ago, but still not really popular among the people. They are so.
The critical point is if you ask the citizen to type in anything, it will fail. So our system, they scan the QR code, press send, and that's it, like 2 seconds. So they never need to type anything. They never need to install anything in their phone. So that, I think, is one of the key points of digital transformation, is that it needs to be faster, more fair, and more fun than the previous way of checking in, like writing on papers and so on. For many, especially senior people, if you ask them to type in their phone number, they don't work with it. In Taiwan, around 20% of people, even if they have a smartphone, they never install an app. So not only is our QR code scanner not an app, you can use the built-in camera, but for those 20% of people, they don't have to scan anything because the QR code is just a 15-digit number. So it's printed as part of the poster. So for them, they just text 1922 and type in the number and send, and they finish the check-in. So for them, it's sending a toll-free SMS. So even people who don't know how QR code works can finish the check-in by themselves, and they feel very satisfied, like they have learned digital competence. They can now teach other senior people. So yes, I believe thinking about diversity of people's experience with digital, and inclusion, like designing way for them to manually type in the code is important, because then they feel included in the effort.
Oh, I see. I thought the people in Taiwan, even old people are interested in handling the smartphone or and all.
For one application, a Japanese application called Line.
For many
People in Taiwan, online means online. There's no other app on their phone.
I see. Oh, that's popular in Japan too. How do we how to say different how we will be changing after the COVID-19? How do you see the future?
Yeah, we're back to zero COVID for a while now in Taiwan. So I wouldn't say we're post-pandemic, because there's always a risk of another wave, but I would say we have postponed the pandemic. And in this circumstance, I understand that around the world, people are forming a global neighborhood. That is to say, this is the first time that we share the same urgency on any global issue. Previously, for example, the disinformation crisis, the more liberal and democratic countries band together, but not the more authoritarian ones. For climate urgency, the countries that are islands banded together, but not necessarily all the continental ones and things like that, because we have different urgency. But in COVID, everyone is just 2 months away from each other in situation of the first wave or the second or between the waves and so on. So we share the same urgency to learn together and to share what we have found together. So I believe our ideas of neighborhood profoundly changed during the pandemic. I often wake up and having conversation with South and North American counterparts. And during daytime, well, it's with you, with Japan, with Indo-Pacific, and during the evening, that's with Europe and with Africa. So I'm become a time zone traveler during the day. And the people who care about the same thing together will remember this. And then we carry this conversation forward to tackle climate change, to tackle the disinformation crisis, the health of the internet, and many, many other transformational issues, understanding we have succeeded before working together.
Yeah, I see. Minister and Tan, thank you very much for sharing your idea, notion, and we are really appreciate your time and also suggestion and your idea, and looking forward to seeing you in person, maybe after COVID-19. And and also thank you very much. It is very, very much my honor to have this occasion. And sorry, and lastly, and we want to ask you to give us your message. Give your message to our young people and old people in Ibaraki Prefecture. That's a request from my team. Sorry.
Definitely. Yeah. So, as I always quote Leonard Cohen, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. For there is a crack in everything. And that is how the light gets in. So let's be the light. And I look forward to meet you in person sometime in the future. Until then, live long and prosper.